What's up, YouTube? I'm here out front of my house. I've been working on my Powerstroke, and I've been doing some YouTube searches for videos about this topic, and there's really not a lot of good information out there. These are kind of older pickup trucks, but they're still really popular here in California. This truck is the last diesel truck that's pre-smog. So what I have here today is my 1995 F250 with a Powerstroke diesel in it, and we're going to be pulling the turbocharger off. Now, this is a pre-intercooler truck. There's no intercooler piping or down piping that you have to worry about. It's just a straight Y into the air boxes. It's pretty straightforward operation, except there are a few nuts and bolts that are pretty hard to get to, so I'm going to go ahead and get to that now for you and show you how you get these off. I'm not really going to focus. I've already torn the turbo down to the hard parts. I'm not going to focus on any of the easy stuff that pulls right out. All that stuff's pretty straightforward and self-explanatory. Okay, so let's get to this. So here basically what we have is the turbo sitting on top of the pedestal. These front two bolts are real easy to pull. They've been pulled. And these two bolts at the top here on the flange have been pulled because they're easy to get to. Just a little bit of what we got here. Someone's damaged this air box. I'm going to go ahead and finish stripping this the rest of the way down so I can replace this. If you see here how it's bent right there, we'll pull that off and try to shove something the same size in there and push that little divot back out right there. But if I can't, just buy the new box. I'm going to do the fuel pump removal. I'm going to pull the fuel pump out. As you can see, someone's already monkeyed with it before and did some repairs to it. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the fuel pump out all together. While I'm in there, I'm going to replace the accumulator and rebuild the filter housing. I'm going to do the do-it-yourself banjo block to an Air Dog fuel pump mounted down in the frame with a Raptor pump. So we're going to basically fuel supply the whole truck with electrical instead of this pump. This is a weak spot. This pump is not awesome. So and it leads to a lot of problems. You see all these different hoses and clamps and all this monkey motion right here. We can get rid of quite a bit of this by going with an Air Dog and a banjo block. If you don't know what a banjo block is, go ahead and Google it. There's a good YouTube video on it. The guy that made it puts it together for you and shows you basically how it replaces all this stuff and plugs into these stock fuel lines. There's two of them. You can't see the other one because the turbo's in the way. So basically there are, and I'm going to see if I can get in here. Hold on a second. Way down in there. If you can see it right there, I'm not even 100% sure I'm on it. Yeah, if you can see it back there, there's a little 10 millimeter. We also have this set of bolts right here. You can see it. This bolt right here. You can see in there. This bolt right here is a 15 millimeter. And it's a stud. And this is where the exhaust manifolds come together right here and push into the turbo. So there's that. And there's one more of these on the other side. Now I'm going to show you how to get to those without ruining any of your tools. I would rather go buy a $6 tool and expand my tool set than cut apart a 15 millimeter wrench, which is popular. A lot of guys, what they'll do is they'll pull this bracket right here, so they have a little extra breathing room in there, and then they'll pull this bracket right here to get a little extra breathing room, and then they'll get in there with a wrench and take a box wrench and cut the head off of it. They'll cut the forked side off, the open end of the box wrench off it. And they'll put the box wrench on there, give it a little play, they'll mark it up right here where it clips the housing, and then they'll grind it out, okay? And then they'll maybe put another couple notches in it so they can stick a pry bar in here and go and work it with a pry bar, right? But we're going to skip all that And to get those two bolts, we're going to use this guy right here. Lowe's has this, Home Depot has it, I'm sure the auto parts stores probably got it. Wherever you can source it from, they're about you can get a cheap one online for about $5. They're about7 at Lowe's. So I went out and picked it up. This is what's called a flex socket, or other people know it as a swivel socket. It's 3/8 inch drive on one end and your 15 inch 12 point on the other. So this is a real handy piece to have. And basically what we're going to do is, because these bolts have seen way too many life cycles of heat, we're going to use our larger 1/2 inch drive ratchet. We're going to come right out of the ratchet and we're going to downsize to 3/8 inch drive, and we're going to use a long 3/8 inch drive extension, and we're going to put that flex socket, 15 millimeter flex socket, right on the end of it. Again, it could be called a flex socket, a swivel socket, whatever, but it's basically the swivel, and instead of having another 3/8 inch drive at the end, it goes directly into what you need, and that's going to give you the clearance that you need. You can actually get this bad dude right on that bolt and crank it. And now another thing, I'll put the camera way in there again, maybe you can see it. Get you on. And I know what you're wondering, if I can't even get the camera on it by sticking it in the hole, how am I going to get a wrench on it? Well, I'll show you. Okay, you see it back there? You see it back there? It's dirty, but it's back there. It's on your screen, just about centered up. That's a 10 millimeter bolt. Now, we're going to get to that one with a small 10 millimeter wrench. And we're just going to gun it right off of there. They stay pretty lubed if you see all the shit laying on it. It's pretty greasy, so we're going to actually spray that down and kind of clean it up, and then we're going to get a wrench on it, and we're just going to meat muscle that bad dude right off with a 10 millimeter wrench. No leverage, no nothing. We're just going to get at it like madmen. And then there's another one round down the backside here, and we're going to undo that one with a 1/4 inch drive. 1/4 inch drive on a wobble with 2 extensions. So basically you go 1/4 inch drive, short extension, 3 inch, and then you go wobble, and then another short 3 inch extension with the socket on the end of it, and that'll do it. So I'm going to go ahead and get to it and pull all this stuff, and I'll have a finished turbo for you. Okay, so here's the piece that I already mentioned. This is specialty tool number 1. This is, again, I'll recap, this is a 15 millimeter on a swivel 3/8 inch drive. Okay, and the reason I went with 3/8 inch drive, I could have got this in a 1/2 inch drive, which is the size ratchet I used to pull these bolts because of all the heat cycles they'd been through. Basically, I saturated them in a lot of WD-40. You want to use all the penetrating lubricant you can. I use WD-40. I'm a big fan of liquid wrench, whatever. You want to spray these and let it run all down this flange and spray the shit out of all this so that overnight it can break loose. Okay, so this was specialty tool number 1, and that took out these large 15 millimeter nuts that are down here at the bottom. These ones up here at the top, we're not going to talk about those because they're easy. They're right there and they pull right out, so you figure it out and take those out. Okay, so this housing is held on by 3 12-point bolts. So that's the part I'm going to cover next. Now basically, your exhaust band fits right on here. This band fits on here, and that's what couples you to the downpipe. Okay, so mine actually had a special surprise. I'm not sure why. This is a 10 millimeter 6-point bolt, and this was actually in here in the hard to see, hard to find area of my turbo. The one that you can't see, the blind one, had the wrong size head on it. You don't want to know how long I monkeyed around trying to get that out today. And then also, I've got this guy right here. This is what they all should be. Someone probably couldn't find one of these and found that and went with it because it fit. This is a 12-point 8 millimeter bolt. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have a full 12-point set. So I had to go out and rustle me up one. Again, I went with 3/8 inch drive. Now that give you the option to step up. If you go with 3/8 inch drive, you kind of get the best of both worlds. See, you can use a large 1/2 inch ratchet or a large 1/2 inch breaker bar, as opposed to a smaller 3/4 inch or 3/8 inch ratchet. 3/8 inch ratchet. So basically, every time you extend the length of this handle, you're going to get more wrench out of your deal. So basically, by using a downsizer, like this guy right here is another specialty tool I highly recommend you pick up. This will bring you from your 1-inch ratchet down to your 3/8 inch fittings. So kind of buy everything in 3/8, and then you can adapt what size ratchet you want to use according to how much leverage you need on the unit. Now, a lot of this stuff, again, has gone through a bunch of heat cycles, so these bolts are stuck in here pretty good. You need to spray them with lubricating oil, let them sit an hour, and then hit them with this 12-point 8 millimeter socket. That actually... So basically, you're going to need this 6-inch extension with this 1/4 inch swivel and a 10 mil. And once you have the housing off, if you get in there at the right angle, you can catch that bolt right like that. Boom. Okay. The housing's also going to have to be off so that you can get this 15 millimeter swivel socket or flex socket on this joint right here. So that is basically, that's what you're up against. That's what you got going on. So again, I'm going to keep lining up anything that you may not have in your box over here. I want you to get a good idea of all the tools that you're going to need. Make sure that you have all this stuff. Basically, you can snap that little guy right off if you rip it too hard. So what I'll use is this guy, unless it's really stuck, and then I switch over to this guy. That way you're just snapping the head off of a $3 piece right here instead of snapping the head off of your ratchet. Now, all these tools, of course, are Husky and Craftsman, so they're guaranteed for life. But you definitely don't want a broken ratchet. You'd rather break this guy than break this guy. So, but on this job, nothing was stuck hard enough on this 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch 10 millimeter bolts. This stuff should be strong enough to hold together. So your gimmick will look something like that to pull this back bolt. Now, what I want to tell you is you're blind. You can't possibly stick your head in there to see any more than about this. You just barely miss it. You just barely can't see the bolt. If you put a mirror, you can see that it's just right there. Now, blind, normally you can just come right over the top and feel your way around back there, and bam, I locked on first shot and twisted that bad dude off. And that's how I got. Now, I've heard of a lot of dudes using a wrench on this one and a bunch of different stuff, and I didn't do that. I stuck with a 1/4 inch combination, and everything seemed to pretty much come off like butter. So I'm going to recap some of these pieces here that we're going to need. Okay. So basically what we have going on here is you're going to need this 8 millimeter 12-point socket. You're going to need this 15 millimeter swivel socket. You're going to need a 3/8 inch drive swivel. You're going to need a 1/4 inch drive swivel. You're going to need a 3/8 inch 6-inch extension. You're going to need a 3/8 inch 3-inch extension. You're going to need a 1/4 inch 6-inch extension. You may even need a shorter 3-inch extension of this. You never know. From what I understand, these trucks are assembled differently sometimes. This is the 1-inch breaker bar, or excuse me, this is the half-inch breaker bar. I didn't find it necessary to use this. However, your turbo may give you a bunch of shit and you might need this. This is a reducer. This brings this 1/2 inch to 3/8 inch so that you can use this large wrench with any of these skinnier attachments that seem to fit in the places a little bit better. This is a 3/8 inch drive wrench. This is an adapter to go down to 1/4 inch so that you can use any of these 1/4 inch, this 1/4 inch extension, this 1/4 inch swivel, 1/4 inch sockets, which tend to be happen to be shorter, and the things themselves have to be skinnier. It tends to fit in there a lot better. So what you can go ahead and do is, to get more leverage on top of a stuck bolt, a heat cycled bolt, you can use a 3/8 inch wrench with a downsizer. We also have the 1/4 inch wrench for stuff that's not stuck and requires very small little tight spaces. Let's say you got to use this swivel and this long extension and you really got to get a socket back in there in the back. This little wrench tends to do the best. This is the little baby wrench that I use to pull off this bolt way back here in the back. Okay, so again, your spatial awareness is going to come in real important here, and I think we've done a pretty good job of covering it. You can see how I pulled it out. I lined up all the tools here for you. So if you're still stuck, God help you.